Welcome to our 2018 election recap. This is Chris Galler with the Minnesota Realtors. We have the luck of having Paul Egger here, our Vice President of Governmental Affairs, to discuss some of the issues that are going to be dealt with this year in the session, especially after the change. So the first thing, Paul, is the House will have new committee chairs, vice chairs, kind of a whole new organizational team. Can you discuss how that will affect your lobbying compared to previous years?
Well, after every election, it's a huge change. There are a lot of new members, so there's a lot of education and introductions that need to be made. And I was going through the committee makeup from last session, and just to kind of compare how many members are still going to be in the legislature and on the committees that we dealt with. And the Commerce Committee actually was the most striking. Of the 21 members of the Commerce Committee, 13 have either retired or were defeated, wow, including the chair, the vice chair, and the ranking members. So, for us, it's going to, and for every group that's at the Capitol, it's making introductions, it's finding out who's going to be on committees. Those assignments will be coming out soon. And it's, working with entirely different bill authors. We're very good about getting bipartisan authors on our bills, but the party in the majority is the party that you go to ask their members to carry your legislation. So in the House, with the flip in control, the Democrats now control the House, we'll be working with new lead authors on our initiatives, so that's always new.
How about committee staff? Will the committee staff change as well?
Yeah, staff is a complete turnover. Somebody who worked in the legislature, that's always a stressful time for staff, is the election period, because if there's a change in majority, then a lot of the staff, unfortunately lose their jobs, and the majority gets to hire their staff people to staff the committees.
Last session, the legislature passed, although Governor Dayton vetoed, tax conformity, so that our income tax was calculated based on the same thing that's happening at the federal level. Will they be able to come back and make a change for our members for 2018, or will it have to wait till the next year?
No, it's too late for tax filing season in 2019. The Revenue Department starts updating their forms literally the second the legislature finishes in the session, and so without a tax conformity bill last year, it's going to be too late to make those changes. So tax filing season is likely going to be very challenging in 2019. But they're also going to have to pass a quick conformity bill in the 2019 session for 2020. So conformity will be a topic right out of the gate.
So that'll be important for members to understand that you want to see your accountants right away or get started on your taxes right away, because there'll be two separate ways that you have to file those. We have a new governor, a new majority in the House, and a one-seat difference in the Senate, what makes everything really difficult. How do you kind of see how the session will play out?
It's going to start out, I think, with a lot of caution on all sides. Anytime you have a change in administration, that means new commissioners will be appointed to lead agencies, and it's a little bit smoother when you have a transition within the same party. So Governor Dayton was a Democrat, Congressman Walz is a Democrat, so there's not that urgency that maybe when you're changing from a Republican administration to a Democratic administration or vice versa. But Governor Walz is going to want to put his own commissioners in place, so that'll be a process that'll play out over the first few weeks of the session. And also, just there are a lot of new members. It's almost 30% of the House is going to be new members this year. It'll be all new committee chairs, and some of the Democrats that will be chairing committees have chaired committees in the past, so they have experience doing that. But there'll be some brand new chairs as well. And the first few weeks will be a lot of overview hearings in committees. They'll bring in state agencies and kind of go over, well, what is it that agency does, and what potential policy initiatives might that agency bring forward. And so they, in the long session, which we're in 2019, the budget year, there's a little bit of a ramp up to full action, with the exception being on the tax side, where they're going to have to get moving on a conformity bill right away.
Good. Can you discuss some of the issues that the committee is looking at? You have a governmental affairs committee of members. They're looking at a number of issues and a number of legislative priorities. What do you think those will be this year?
Yeah, as we're sitting here today, the committee is in the process of finalizing our agenda for the 2019 session, but a few things are certainly at the forefront, and the biggest one is designated agency, and that's a topic that we visited from time to time throughout the years and haven't been able to move it forward. And this year we have another subcommittee of members that are working hard on the details of that proposal, and I anticipate that's going to be something that we're going to try to move forward in 2019. We're also looking at some amendments to the first-time homebuyer Savings Account Act, which was an initiative of the Minnesota Realtors during the 2017 session, and we were able to pass that bill, but there were some pieces of it that weren't included in the final version that we may be bringing back for consideration in 2019. We also have the repeal of the seat time requirement for internet continuing education courses. That was something that we worked with the legislature last year and had that introduced, but didn't move it forward. And there are always a few issues that come up along the way that I anticipate will be raised by committee members, and we'll talk about those before the beginning of the session.
And last year you made a whole series of weekly videos updating members through the e-committee resource. Will you be doing those again this year?
Yes, we'll be doing videos, probably weekly, but we haven't set a schedule yet. But yeah, I anticipate doing the videos again this year.
Good. And they're important for people to visualize so that you can see what's going on at the Capitol and see the hard work that Paul and his team puts into it. And then the last thing is, can you talk a little bit about how calls for action, how Legislative Impact Day, how Housing Day at the Capitol, how those all interact and why it's important for members to be involved in the process?
Well, it's critical. I'm at the Capitol every day interacting with legislators and staff and state agency personnel, but at the end of the day, legislators want to hear from their constituents, and they want to hear from them about how a particular policy, whether it's an agenda item that we bring forward or it's an item that another group brings forward that impacts our members or home ownership, they want to hear how their constituents perceive that proposal, how it'll affect them personally. Right. Because at the end of the day, they're the voters in the district. They're the ones that decide whether that member is going to be in office or if somebody else is going to hold that seat. So they really value the feedback of what we call at the Capitol real people that aren't lobbyists that are paid to be there every day. And legislators really respond favorably to that, even if they don't necessarily agree with you. Meaning the constituent, they appreciate that you came forward, took time out of your day to share your thoughts on what's going on in St. Paul.
Terrific. Thank you, Paul, for being here today. We appreciate your efforts on the street for us. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us, Minnesota Realtors.